Well, hello from this old quilt. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Hello, Rose.
Hi, Debbie. It's so good to see you. You've been traveling.
I have, but tell me about your trip.
Well, I took a little trip and went to ride my horse for a few days in Central Oregon.
Sweet. And I got to go to cooking school in Tuscany with my sister and had a wonderful trip, and a nice shout out to the Mejias in Atlanta, Georgia, my new best friends, traveling nurses who absolutely amazing people. But we're here to talk today about what we can do with quilts that aren't quite quilt worthy. So
Yes.
let's talk about this one.
Yes. Well, this is just, again, a small piece of a quilt that we've embellished and bound, and it's just a little tabletop or a little decorative item for our home. But if this was a quilt block that your grandmother or your family member had made, this is a piece that you can keep in your home, that has precious memories to you.
And I think another nice thing about these is it's so important when you save a piece of these to put as much of the story on the back of them as you can. We want to preserve the history of these quilts more than anything else. And this one was not, it wasn't worthy to be a big quilt anymore. It had some major issues, but it still has a lot of beauty and a lot of purpose. And we're going to talk about how you can repurpose some of these pieces and share them with family, because this is still part of our history and we want to preserve that. So let's talk about this one.
Yes, this is a larger piece that really is perfect for a table centerpiece. You can use other table place settings to, sort of enhance and bring your eye to an antique quilt piece. But again, there were pieces of this quilt that were not able to be salvaged, but it doesn't mean that there aren't wonderful big sections of a quilt that can be cut out and salvaged and used for other home decorating.
So another great idea that we have embraced, we had a lady bring us a quilt, and she had 4 siblings. So we needed to find 5 pieces in this big quilt top that were preservable, and we did. We were able to hand quilt them, and we had them framed, and that young lady was able to present each one of her siblings with a piece of their grandmother's quilt that could not be a quilt, but it's hanging on the wall in 5 different homes because it's so important to maintain the history of the family.
Absolutely. There's so many creative things that we can do with a piece of a quilt.
I know, an ornament.
Yes. A Christmas stocking.
Yes, a piece of a Christmas stocking. I have a small square of a block that was my husband's grandmother's, and it sits on my nightstand. And when I take my glasses off at night, that's where my glasses sit. And every night when I do that, I say, hey to Katie, because it was her quilt top.
Because that's what's so important, right?
It is.
Because somebody up there is so happy that we are using her quilt.
Yes, and we don't want to see them in landfills. We want to see them on walls, on tables, as part of anything having to do with the history of a family. It's just where our heart is.
So here's to this old quilt.
This old quilt, and we're glad to be back.
Yes.